Trump media just announced a $2.5 billion Bitcoin treasury deal, calling it a crown jewel asset. Elon Musk, who once touted Doge as a playful fix for US debt, now says the system is too broken to fix. And while most investors are still catching up, Tim Draper is looking 10 years out, predicting Bitcoin will replace the dollar, and its value is heading to infinity. So what's going on? Why is corporate America piling into Bitcoin? Why are even billionaires and their critics starting to agree that the debt spiral can't be stopped? And what does it mean that Bitcoin is holding 110K before the big liquidity wave even starts? This isn't just another hype cycle. It's a slow motion realization. The only exit is Bitcoin. Today, we look at the signals because they're getting much harder to ignore. Trump media dropped a bomb today, announcing they're putting $2.5 billion into Bitcoin, one of the largest Bitcoin treasury deals ever by a public company. CEO Devin Nunes said it's about financial freedom and protecting against the kind of banking discrimination that plagues everyday Americans. You don't need to read between the lines to understand this move. Donald Trump Jr. has expressed publicly the censorship his family and businesses have faced, including social media banning and debanking. And he talked about how it led them to Bitcoin at the Qatar Economic Forum last week.
I was the second verified user on Rumble. I helped them set up the pipe that enabled them to go public because the other social media platforms were canceling us. When Twitter threw my father off, we started Truth Social. So we created actual businesses as a solution to the problems that were being thrown at us. We got into cryptocurrency. That's another one I read about, a lot of conflict these days. We got into cryptocurrency because we were debanked. And so it's interesting. I mean, there's many people in this room that in the past I could have called at any time in my life, hey, I need a loan to build a building, because that's what we did. And I would have gotten a call back and a loan in about 5 minutes. All of a sudden, those people wouldn't take your calls. They wouldn't have your bank accounts. And so we did and invested in businesses as solutions.
On top of this, Cantor Fitzgerald, a 78-year-old Wall Street giant, just launched a $2 billion Bitcoin-backed lending program, with its first deals going to Falcon X and Maple Finance. This is the same Cantor Fitzgerald that helped launch 21 Capital last month, teaming up with Tether and SoftBank to create a corporate Bitcoin accumulator not unlike Michael Saylor's strategy. And it's not just the firm. Howard Lutnick, Cantor's longtime CEO, is the sitting U.S. Commerce Secretary. And Strive Asset Management, they just raised $750 million for their Bitcoin strategy. All in all, that's over $5 billion of fresh institutional capital pointed at Bitcoin this week alone. So what does this tell us? It means Bitcoin isn't just being bought and held, it's being integrated into the plumbing of global finance. Bitcoin is now collateral. Bitcoin is now creditworthy. Bitcoin is now the base layer for a new kind of financialization, one that's emerging parallel to the legacy system, but increasingly connected to it. And the fact that one of Wall Street's most politically connected firms is leading this push, that's not just bullish, that's historic. We're watching the infrastructure for Bitcoin native capital markets begin to take shape, and it's happening faster than most people realize. This shift has massive implications, because in a world where trust is breaking down, who you trust to guide you into Bitcoin matters more than ever. That's why having the right partner matters, someone who can help you cut through the noise and build real conviction. If you're a high net worth investor or business leader looking to allocate to Bitcoin the right way, with real strategy, real custody, and real education, then Swan Private is for you. Swan Private has helped thousands of investors move into Bitcoin safely and securely, with dedicated advisors, advanced custody support, and world-class research. The Swan Private team helps you build generational wealth the right way. Learn more at swan.com/private. So it's easy to hear news like this and think, sure, Bitcoin's hot again. We've seen this before. But this time is different because the macro environment is different. Last week, Moody's downgraded U.S. credit again, and in response, U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said the quiet part out loud.
There are several components there, so if we unpack it, there is the growth, the potential growth of the debt, but what's more important is that we grow the economy faster. So what we've seen under the past 4 years, and what we inherited, I inherited 6.7% deficit to GDP, which was the highest deficit when we were not at war, not in a recession. So we've been trying to bring down the spending, and we are going to grow the revenue side. So we are going to grow the GDP faster than the debt grows, and that will stabilize the debt to GDP, which even Secretary Yellen and I agree is the most important number.
The point to highlight in that clip is the admission that they simply need to grow GDP faster than the debt. It sounds nice, but it's not a plan. It's a fantasy. The US is already running a 6.7% deficit to GDP ratio in peacetime with no recession. And the big ticket spending items, Social Security, Medicare, interest on the debt, all politically untouchable. Even Elon Musk is giving up. He posted on X that only radical productivity growth can save us now. And that's his way of saying Doge has failed. The system isn't reformable. Lynn Alden calls it fiscal dominance. When deficits get so large, monetary policy becomes a hostage to government spending. Her phrase, "nothing stops this train," isn't just a meme, it's a warning. And now, even the institutions are catching up. As Sam Callahan points out in this excellent summary, first signpost, Doge failed to reduce the deficit. Second signpost, pushing for SLR changes to boost demand for treasuries from domestic banks. Third signpost, pushing for legislation to boost demand for treasuries from stablecoin issuers. Fourth signpost, new spending bill estimated to increase deficit by 33% by 2027. Fifth signpost, Besant says we'll grow GDP faster than the debt to stabilize debt to GDP. The TLDR, keep spending, pass new laws, and tweak regs to suppress long-term yields, boost nominal GDP, mostly via inflation, debase the currency. Bondholders and cash savers lose in real terms. Got Bitcoin? It's clear they're not solving the problem. They're buying time. They're kicking the can down the road again. And every time they do, Bitcoin gets stronger. Tick-tock, next block. Let's pull up the Bitcoin to global M2 chart. This is one of the cleanest long-term signals we have. Global money supply, or M2, has been rising steadily. Bitcoin tends to follow with a lag. We saw it in 2020, and we're seeing it again now. And right now, the chart says we're on schedule for another explosive move, even though the big liquidity hasn't even started flowing yet. We're already at 110K Bitcoin. Imagine what happens after the next round of easing. You better buckle up. Billionaire investor Tim Draper put it bluntly on a recent interview with CoinDesk.
The price of Bitcoin, I did say 250,000 by the end of this year, but you go out 10 years and the answer is infinity against the dollar, because there won't be a dollar. There won't be a need to have a dollar. Once I can buy my food, my clothing, my shelter, pay my taxes all in Bitcoin, and it's a better way to collect taxes for sure, then there won't be any reason to hold on to any Bitcoin. I mean, to hold on to any dollars. And Bitcoin will be the primary source of owning wealth. I eventually think that we will no longer have US dollar dominance over the long period, but that's over a long period of time.
A ballpark estimate of how, when Bitcoin will replace the US dollar?
10 years, something like that. It may be a little less, because there will be a moment. I mean, the good news here is that banks can now hold your Bitcoin and your fiat currency.
Now, he might sound extreme here, especially on the ballsy prediction that Bitcoin will replace the US dollar in 10 years or sooner, but just zoom out. The sitting president's media company is stacking Bitcoin. The Commerce Secretary's bank is backing Bitcoin credit markets. Bitcoin treasury companies are popping up every week, many borrowing from Michael Saylor's leveraged acquisition playbook. And the US government is quietly preparing the next round of fiscal expansion. If you're waiting for the perfect moment to realize how big this is, that moment may have already passed. The institutions are arriving, the liquidity is coming, and there's no reforming the system we're all leaving behind. What we're seeing is the slow, methodical Bitcoinization of the financial world. It's not about hype, it's about incentives. Every political decision, every corporate move, every failed attempt to cut spending, all of it pushes capital towards Bitcoin. This is what regime change looks like. First gradually, then suddenly. And once that realization takes hold, nothing stops this train. If you're paying attention and you understand what's really happening, you won't want to miss two of the most important Bitcoin events happening this year. BTC Prague is coming up in June, and it's Europe's premier Bitcoin-only conference, gathering thinkers, builders, and leaders from around the world. For more info and tickets, visit btcprague.com. And back in the US, this September, BTC in DC is bringing Bitcoiners to the heart of Washington to help shape policy and signal strength. For tickets and more info, visit btcindc.com. So what do you think? Does the failure of Doge spell the beginning of the end of the US dollar? Do you agree with Tim Draper that Bitcoin can replace the US dollar within 10 years? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. Also, like this video if it brought you signal, share it with someone who's still stuck in a fiat prison, and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. Thanks for watching, stay humble, keep stacking, and remember, tick-tock, next block.